Back to your financial future. I'll bet almost everyone in this country has fantasized at some point about owning their own business, be in charge, make the decisions, take home all the profits. Well, it's not exactly that easy. There's a lot of risk and hard work involved, but when it does work, it's extraordinarily satisfying. Joining me to talk today about how to make this fantasy a reality are Charles Freeman, Regional Administrator of the Small Business Administration, and Richard Worth, CEO of R.W. Frookies Incorporated. That's an $18 million cookie company. Richard, I want to start with you. We are talking about Frookies here, of which we have several kinds out here, and I hope you leave them after the show. I know a few people might be interested in them. But how did you get started, and where did you get the idea for this? These are cookies sweetened not with sugar but with fruit juice?
They're sweetened without sugar and sweetened with fruit juice. And the idea came to me when I was doing Sorrel Ridge Jams and Jellies, which I founded in 1978.
Sorrel Ridge is the all-fruit, no-sugar jam. I've had that before.
That's right. The idea came as a consequence of the success of Sorrel Ridge. What I look for is a hole in the line. In the marketing line, the consumer has a demand, and if it's not being met, that's what I look for.
And at that point, you had cookies that were full of fat, full of sugar, and the health food trend had started up, right?
If you walk down the aisle, all you'd see in the cookie business was fat, sugar, preservatives, etc. And I said to myself, listen, if people want a jam without sugar, they certainly want a cookie without sugar. And simply that simple realization and the adherence to that realization started R.W. Frookies. So in 1984, while still being the president of Sorrel Ridge, I decided to come up with a name for this new concept. Now, it was pretty simple. There's fruit and there's cookies. Now there's Frookies. We sweeten it with fruit. In 1985, I sold Sorrel Ridge. It started to work on R.W. Frookies. I guess the most important thing when you have an idea is to turn it into an inspiration and a dream. Because on the way you can take lefts and rights, and people like to make you do that. It took 2.5 years in terms of product development, recipe development, capitalization to actually come out with a product. During that time, I had a company that I called The Next Step because it was my next step. The Next Step consulted with other food companies. And so therefore, in the summer of '87, and basically we came out with R.W. Frookies, the Good For You cookies.
Now, is this fairly typical? Someone has an idea, and they see, as Richard said, a hole in the line, and then you just plug it in?
Well, he's really one of the typical success stories. If his statements bear fruit, and what's happening with his marketing plan is bearing fruit now, he's one of the people.
No pun intended, of course.
That's right. And you're one of the 20 million people in this country that call themselves small business owners now. And that's the majority of business enterprises in this country. And these are the organizations employing up to 85% of all the people in the country. So what he says is very, very accurate. And the interesting part of what is going on, this phenomenon, even in a recessional economy, is that more and more people want to be business people, want to be their own boss. And between 1985 and 1990, for example, we had 4 million more people call themselves small business owners than before. We went from 15 million to approximately 19 to 20 million when we tabulate the results through 1991. It's a phenomenal story, and as difficult as it is to be a business person, it's still a way to go for very many people in this country.
Okay, now
there are many obstacles to overcome, but it can be done.
Exactly.
Richard proves it.
Yeah, those obstacles we are going to talk about in just a minute, but we have to pause here. Stay with us, though. When we come back, we'll answer your phone calls, and we'll take a look at one of the more popular business startups today, the bed and breakfast. I'll be right back. You, ironically, here started up Frookies without bank loans, right?
Yeah, I had a bad experience with banks, and while it's not necessarily that you will, in many cases a bank will give you an umbrella when it's sunny out and take it away when it's raining. So you've got to really watch how you develop your capital base, because who you get in bed with is how your business will be defined. So what we did was to actually make our customers our partners. We gave away equity to the people we were going to sell product to. We also gave away equity to the people who would help develop the product, okay? You've got to be really careful on how you get your equity base. And by this way, we came out with our product with a full team of buyer and seller, for a change, being together. And that's why in month 3, we were doing $2 million worth of business. Now, there is a problem today that while I'd like to think that the banks are really eager to lend capital, they are not. And this is going to have a major impact on America's ability to keep its entrepreneurial base together. So watch who you're borrowing from. Go get a partner. Perhaps you can even give some equity away to a partner who is not going to be on your back all the time, because you know this business better than he does, unless he's been down the road before.
Exactly, and you kept 60% of your business, if I read your bio correctly. Okay, we have to take a quick break, but we will be right back to take more of your phone calls. Stay with us.